Ethan, let's go and talk about some of the injuries this week. We don't have too much to talk about, but the big one that everyone wants to know. Let's start with Quan Barkley. We heard the injury, we heard kind of the time frame, but you've given us some better time frames than what's come out with some of these other guys. So tell me what's going on with Barkley and what can we expect? When can we expect him back?
This one is a tough break for a lot of people. Obviously, Barkley, uh, pretty much consensus number one overall pick in fantasy. Got a few contrarians going CMC, but definitely top two for the majority of people. So he's dealing with a high ankle sprain right now. I've watched the video a few times. It does not look as bad as a normal high ankle sprain. The timeline that I'm putting on him that's been kind of floated around is 4 to 6 weeks. High ankle sprains are a little bit trickier. You can't really brace them. So it's not like a low, a typical ankle sprain you could brace earlier. High ankles, there's not really any way to brace the bones. So 4 to 6 weeks is pretty. It's on the earlier side of things. I think 6 weeks, right in the middle, 6 to 8 weeks, somewhere in there is probably closer to what's going to happen. No tightrope surgery, which has become kind of a newer thing that you see a little bit more with these athletes with these high ankle sprains. The tightrope surgery is basically they drill a hole near the ankle, between the tibia and fibula, and basically string it's not a string, it's like a high tensile cord, and actually that acts as the anchor to hold those two bones together, while the rest of the ligament that they tore in between the tibia and fibula heals. So,
oh wow,
that is a newer surgery. Tua Tagovailoa in college is actually the one that got the most buzz with that. That's how he returned in a couple weeks with a pretty significant high ankle sprain in college last season. So they're deciding not to go with this, which means it's not as significant of an injury where I don't think 8+ weeks is probably in play here. I think he's definitely going to miss probably the next 3 games, most likely the next 4 games for sure. So best case scenario is week 8 against the Lions. As far as returns go, worst case is actually week 12 against the Bears, because the team has a week 11 bye. So if they really want to give him quite a bit of time, which I think they might, you could be looking at not seeing him again until week 12, which is, for a lot of people, you're getting pretty close to the fantasy championships and playoffs. So that would be a huge blow. I think best case, though, is week 8 against the Lions.
Okay, so man, I can't wait to see Quan Barkley and Danny Dimes out there together. That offense could be explosive. No, just kidding, more or less. But yeah, so that was a big blow for a lot of people who were relying on him. Obviously, even if you have his handcuff Wayne Gallman, you can't expect Quan Barkley numbers from him. So that's definitely a tough blow for a lot of people. Let's go on to the next injury. We got LeSean McCoy. He played last week, but he re-aggravated, I think, that injury is what I heard. So what's going on with McCoy, and is he going to be available this week, you think?
Yeah, so he has been dealing with a right ankle sprain for the last couple weeks. There was more doubt last week that he would miss. He did end up playing, like I said he would last week. Played pretty well, I think, because Damian Williams is still out, and he's on our list too here. But Williams is dealing with the knee sprain. Williams is not practicing again this week. I don't expect him to play on Sunday. McCoy, on the other hand, is practicing. Always a good sign. And I believe he got cleared to practice in full as of Thursday. So he should be a full go. Darrell Williams played well, so I think you're going to see a similar split as what you saw last week with McCoy and Williams. And I think both of those guys are startable as flex options.
Oh, very interesting. So the LeSean McCoy owners are probably pretty happy, and the Damian Williams guys who have Damian Williams rostered are probably pretty frustrated with that at this point, especially because he went pretty high in drafts, and LeSean McCoy was going very late. So it's interesting how fantasy plays out sometimes that way. So lastly, the last one that we want to cover here today is Chris Godwin. Chris Godwin, we kind of saw him, Mike Evans kind of take the lion's share of the role, the work there last week. What can we expect from Chris Godwin? A lot of people have been relying on him early in the year here.
Godwin's been dealing with a hip injury. There's not really a whole lot out there as far as what exactly is going on with his hip. The real concerning thing is that not only is he missing practice, but he's not even out on a side field practicing by himself, going through a rehab program. You can't even find him. According to the reports, he's not even out on the field, which means he's getting some type of care, not on the practice field, which is never a good sign. I think Godwin, this is an injury that a lot of people aren't really talking about as much. That's why you come to the Superflex show for this kind of information. I would not be surprised if you hear Sunday morning that Godwin is actually a late scratch this week. I would definitely have a backup plan ready if you are trusting him as your wide receiver too.
Wow, something to monitor for all owners then for sure is that moving forward, because Chris Godwin's a guy that I think a lot of people would be relying on this week, even in a tough matchup against the Rams. But you'd be relying on him. He's proven that he can put up numbers when he's healthy, but that does not sound good. That sounds alarming, Ethan. So thank you so much for breaking down the injuries with us. We appreciate it as always, my friend, and I'm sure that we'll be talking in the future. Thanks.